My name is Christopher John Francis Boone. I know all of the countries in the world and their capital cities, as well as every prime number up to 7,057.
Hello, Christopher. Can you tell me what this means? Christopher, can you tell me what this means?
Sad?
And what do you do when you're sad?
You cry and make bad faces.
Okay.
This is a murder novel. Shimon said I should write something I would like to read myself. Mostly, I read books about science and maths. Shaban, my teacher, said a book should begin with something to grab people's attention, so I decided that I am going to write about how I solved the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. It was 7 minutes after midnight. The dog was lying on the grass in the middle of the lawn in front of Mrs. Shear's house. The dog was called Wellington. It's not breathing! I stroked Wellington and wondered who had killed him. One day, Father took my book, the book I was writing, the first part of this one, and so I went looking for it. I looked throughout the house, and then I went into Father's bedroom. I looked in his closet, and that's when I saw the envelope. Christopher, 36 Randolph Street, Swindon, Wiltshire. That was on the envelope, and I only know 3 people who wrote like that, wrote my name with little circles instead of dots over the I's. Shaban, except Shaban wouldn't be writing me a letter, and Mr. Loxley from school, but he wouldn't be writing me a letter, and Mother. So therefore, these letters must have been from Mother. But that doesn't make sense, because Mother is dead. My dad told me that my mother had died 2 years ago from a heart attack. I had not been to the hospital to see her, but Father had taken her lots of food.
Chris, we need to have a talk.
Okay.
I'm the one who killed Wellington. I stabbed him with the fork. And your mother, she's not dead. I lied to you.
I don't feel too good.
Chris, come back.
I wondered if it was a joke, because I don't understand jokes, but I think Father was serious. I had to get out of the house then, because of that. Father had murdered Wellington. That meant he could murder me. Because I couldn't trust him, I only had 5 options. I could live with Mrs. Shears, stay home, stay in the garden, go and live with Uncle Terry, or go to London to live with Mother. The last option was the only logical choice, because I couldn't very well live with Mrs. Shears, I couldn't go back home, I couldn't stay in the garden because I need food, and Uncle Terry is kind of crazy, so therefore I couldn't live with Uncle Terry. To get to Mother's house, I needed to go to London, and logically, to go to London, I needed to go to the train station. I did not like the train station. There were a lot of people, and they would not care if they punched me or bumped me. All the people made my head hurt. Luckily, I got on the train, and eventually, after taking both the train, the subway, and walking a long way, I arrived at Mother's apartment.
Christopher!
You weren't here, so I waited for you.
Well, come in. Here. Okay, fine. Okay, so your dad killed Wellington and told you I was dead.
I didn't stay with Mother very long. She drove me back home to Swindon. We stayed together in a small apartment. I occasionally visited but I still didn't fully trust him because he told a lie.
Hello, Christopher. Come on in.
Go ahead, Christopher.
But I did solve the mystery of who killed Wellington, and I found my mother, and I was brave, and I wrote a book, and that means I can do anything.